The gleaming towers of downtown pierce the morning sky as we enter the chrome and glass world of coal industries. On the 40th floor, Sebastian Cole stands behind floor-to-ceiling windows, his reflection a study in controlled tension. Sebastian is the kind of man who turns heads without trying, his dark hair perfectly styled, his emerald eyes intense and calculating. At 28, he's built an empire, but today that empire hangs in the balance. His assistant, James, enters with a stack of files. "The Wellington meeting is in 3 days, sir. Everything depends on this merger." Sebastian turns from the window, his jaw set with determination. Marcus Wellington won't do business with anyone he doesn't trust completely. He's old-fashioned, believes in family values, stability, commitment. His voice carries a bitter edge. Things I apparently lack, according to the business journals. "Sir?" He specifically mentioned wanting to work with someone who understands the importance of partnership, both in business and in life. Sebastian's laugh is humorless. "A man with a devoted fiancée," he said. "Someone who knows the value of true commitment." James shifts uncomfortably. "But sir, you're not engaged?" "No." Sebastian moves to his desk, his movements sharp with frustration. "Which is why I need to be. Temporarily." The idea is desperate, but Sebastian's mind is already working. He opens his laptop and begins scrolling through a temp agency website. "I need someone perfect for 3 days. Beautiful enough to be believable, smart enough to handle the pressure, but temporary enough not to complicate my life afterward." That's when he sees her, Aria Summers. The photo shows a young woman with stunning auburn hair and the most captivating violet eyes he's ever seen. Her profile mentions she's between jobs, has experience in hospitality, and needs temporary work. Perfect. 2 hours later, Aria sits in the lobby of Coal Industries, her hands clasped nervously in her lap. She's wearing her best dress, a simple navy blue that somehow makes her look like she belongs in this world of marble and money, though she feels anything but confident. She's beautiful in a way that seems almost ethereal. Her auburn hair falls in soft waves around her shoulders, and her violet eyes hold depths that suggest she's seen more of life than someone her age should have. There's something fragile about her, a delicate quality that makes people want to protect her. When Sebastian emerges from the elevator, he stops short. The photo hadn't captured the way she seemed to glow, or how her nervous smile could light up the entire lobby. "Miss Summers." His voice is softer than he intended. She stands gracefully, extending a delicate hand. "Mr. Cole, thank you for meeting with me." Her voice is melodious, with just a hint of nervousness that she's trying to hide. When their hands touch, Sebastian feels an unexpected jolt of connection. In his office, Sebastian explains the situation with businesslike efficiency, but he finds himself studying her face, watching how her expressions change as she processes what he's asking. "So you need me to pretend to be your fiancé for 3 days?" Aria's voice is calm, but her fingers trace the edge of her purse, a nervous habit that Sebastian finds oddly endearing. "The compensation is generous," he says, sliding a contract across his desk. $50,000 for 3 days of work. Aria's eyes widen, not with greed, but with something like relief. That's very generous." "There's a catch," Sebastian continues, his tone becoming more serious. "Marcus Wellington and his wife will be staying at my family estate. You'll need to convince not just him, but my mother as well. She's perceptive." Aria is quiet for a long moment, her violet eyes thoughtful. "Why me? You could have chosen anyone." Sebastian finds himself being more honest than he planned. "Because you look like someone who could love honestly, even if it's temporary." The next day, Sebastian takes Aria shopping on Fifth Avenue. She moves through the boutiques like she's in a dream, touching fabrics with reverence and looking at price tags with barely concealed shock. "I can't accept all this," she says, standing before a mirror in a stunning emerald dress that makes her eyes look like jewels. "It's part of the job," Sebastian replies, but his voice lacks its usual cold efficiency. Watching her transform before his eyes, he's realizing this might be more complicated than he thought. As they sit in a quiet cafe afterward, Aria opens up about her life. She tells him about growing up in foster care, about working multiple jobs to make ends meet, about her dream of someday having a real home. I've never had anyone to call family, she admits, stirring her coffee absently. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to belong somewhere. Sebastian finds himself sharing things he's never told anyone. About the pressure of running a company so young, about the loneliness that comes with success, about how he's never had a relationship that lasted because everyone either wanted his money or was intimidated by it. Maybe we're both looking for the same thing, Aria says softly, and something shifts between them. But then she hesitates, her hand moving unconsciously to her chest. There's something you should know about me, though. I have a heart condition. It's manageable, but what? Sometimes I wonder if I'm living or just surviving, you know? Her smile is sad but beautiful. Maybe that's why this feels right. For 3 days, I get to pretend I have everything I've ever wanted. Sebastian's family estate is like something from a fairy tale. Rolling hills, ancient oak trees, and a house that seems to have grown from the landscape itself. As their car winds up the drive, Aria presses her face to the window, like a child seeing magic for the first time. It's beautiful, she breathes. My great-grandfather built it for his wife, Sebastian tells her, watching her reaction more than the scenery. He said she deserved a home as beautiful as she was. Vivian Cole is waiting on the front steps, elegant and graceful in a way that speaks of old money and good breeding. But when she embraces Aria, there's genuine warmth in her eyes. So you're the woman who's captured my son's heart, Vivian says, studying Aria with a mother's keen perception. He's wonderful, Aria manages, and the blush that spreads across her cheeks is entirely real. That evening, as Aria unpacks in the guest room, they've agreed to maintain separate rooms to keep things professional. She finds herself at the window, looking out over the gardens. The view is breathtaking, but it's the sense of belonging that surprises her most. Sebastian appears in the doorway, having changed from his business suit into casual clothes that somehow make him even more attractive. Everything all right? I keep expecting to wake up, she admits. Places like this, people like you, they don't exist in my world. Sebastian steps closer, and for a moment, the air between them crackles with unspoken possibility. Maybe worlds can collide sometimes. Marcus Wellington arrives the next evening with his wife, Catherine, a woman who radiates the same old-fashioned values her husband prizes. The dinner is held in the estate's formal dining room, with crystal and silver that have been in Sebastian's family for generations. Aria has transformed into someone who looks like she belongs in this world. Her hair is styled in an elegant updo that shows off her graceful neck, and she's wearing a midnight blue dress that makes her skin seem to glow. But it's not just her appearance. There's a confidence about her that wasn't there before. Sebastian tells me you two met through work, Marcus says, clearly fishing for details. In a way, Aria replies smoothly. I was between positions, and Sebastian. Well, he offered me exactly what I needed. Her eyes meet Sebastian's across the table, and the look that passes between them makes Vivian smile knowingly. As the evening progresses, Aria wins over both Marcus and Catherine with her genuine interest in their stories and her thoughtful questions about their business philosophy. She's not trying to impress them, she's simply being herself, and it's magnetic. You're lucky, Sebastian, Marcus says during a quiet moment. A woman like this. She's rare. Sebastian watches Aria laughing with Catherine about something, her face animated and beautiful, and realizes Marcus is more right than he knows. Later that night, unable to sleep, Aria wanders through the house and discovers Sebastian's mother in the library, looking through old photo albums. I hope you don't mind, Aria says softly. I couldn't sleep. Neither could I, Vivian replies, patting the sofa beside her. Would you like to see some pictures of Sebastian as a boy? As they flip through the albums, Vivian tells stories of Sebastian's childhood, his kindness, his loneliness, his desperate desire to make his father proud before cancer took him too young. He's built walls around his heart, Vivian says quietly. But with you, I see glimpses of the boy I remember. Aria's hand finds an old music box on the side table, and she opens it carefully. A soft melody fills the air, something haunting and beautiful. My husband gave me that on our first anniversary, Vivian says, her eyes misty. He said music was the language of the heart. Without thinking, Aria begins to hum along with the melody, her voice pure and sweet. Vivian's eyes fill with tears. You have a gift, she whispers. Music reveals the soul, you know. I used to sing in foster homes, Aria admits. It was the only way to feel less alone. When Sebastian finds them there an hour later, both women are crying softly. Vivian with the bittersweet joy of shared memories, Aria with the overwhelming feeling of finally being seen and accepted. The next morning, Aria wakes feeling dizzy and weak. She's experienced these episodes before, her heart condition flaring up during times of stress or strong emotion. But she can't let Sebastian down, not when the most important meeting of his career is happening today. She manages to make it through breakfast, though Sebastian notices she's unusually quiet and keeps one hand pressed to her chest. Are you all right? He asks when they have a moment alone. I'm fine, she lies, forcing a smile. Just nervous about today. The final meeting with Marcus Wellington takes place in Sebastian's study. Everything is going perfectly. Marcus is impressed with the business proposal, charmed by the family dynamic he's witnessed, and ready to move forward with the merger. But as they're shaking hands to seal the deal, Aria suddenly goes pale and sways on her feet. Aria! Sebastian catches her as she collapses, and in that moment, any pretense of their relationship being fake disappears. The panic in his voice, the way he holds her like she's the most precious thing in the world, it's completely real. At the hospital, Sebastian paces the waiting room like a caged animal. Vivian sits quietly praying, while Marcus and Catherine wait to ensure Aria is all right. She'll be fine, the doctor finally announces. It was just an episode brought on by stress and emotion, but she needs rest and to avoid high-stress situations. When Sebastian is finally allowed to see her, Aria is sitting up in bed, looking small and fragile in the hospital gown, but still impossibly beautiful. I'm sorry, she whispers. I ruined everything. Sebastian sits on the edge of her bed and takes her hands in his. You didn't ruin anything. Marcus signed the deal, but more importantly, he pauses, searching for words. I realized something today. What? When I thought I might lose you, nothing else mattered. Not the business, not the money, none of it. His emerald eyes are intense as they meet hers. I think I'm falling in love with you, Aria. For real. Tears fill her violet eyes. This wasn't supposed to happen. I know, but it did. He brushes a strand of auburn hair from her face. The question is, what do we do about it? Back at the estate that evening, Aria sits in the garden, still wearing the simple dress the hospital had given her. The formal clothes and jewelry are packed away. The performance is over. Sebastian finds her there as the sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold that seem to reflect in her hair. Having second thoughts? He asks gently. I keep thinking about what you said, about living versus surviving, she admits. I've spent my whole life just trying to get by, to make it through each day. But these past 3 days, what about them? I felt alive, really alive. She turns to face him, and he's struck again by her ethereal beauty. But I'm scared, Sebastian. What if this is just the fantasy wearing off? What if when real life comes back, we realize this was all just pretend? Sebastian sits beside her on the garden bench, close enough that she can smell his cologne, feel the warmth of his body. Do you want to know what I think? He says softly. She nods. I think the only thing that was pretend was us thinking we could keep this temporary. He takes her hands in his and they're shaking slightly. I think we both knew from the moment we met that this was different. But your world, my world. There's only one world that matters, he interrupts, the one we build together. 6 months later, the same garden is decorated with white roses and twinkling lights. Aria stands at the altar in a dress that seems to be made of starlight and dreams, her auburn hair crowned with delicate flowers. She's never looked more beautiful, glowing with health and happiness. Sebastian waits for her at the altar, handsome in his black tuxedo, but with eyes only for his bride. When she reaches him, he takes her hands and whispers, "No more temporary." "No more temporary," she agrees, her voice full of joy. Vivienne watches from the front row, dabbing at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Marcus Wellington and his wife sit nearby, beaming with the satisfaction of having witnessed true love bloom. As Sebastian and Aria exchange vows they wrote themselves, Their words speak of finding home in each other, of two lonely hearts finally finding where they belong. I promise to love you not just in the moments when it's easy, Sebastian says, his voice strong and clear, but in the quiet moments, the difficult moments, the everyday moments that make up a life together. I promise to build a life with you that's real and lasting, Aria responds, her violet eyes shining with unshed tears of happiness. To choose love over fear, hope over doubt, and to never again settle for just surviving when I can live fully with you. When they kiss, sealing their union, the applause of their guests mingles with the sound of evening birds and the gentle rustle of leaves in the ancient oak trees. The love they've learned is never temporary when it's real. And theirs, born from a desperate business arrangement, tested by truth and vulnerability, strengthened by choice and commitment, is as real and lasting as the ancient oak trees that shelter their home. The temporary heart had found its permanent place at last.